Hey guys, this is Andre, a certified translator and finally a real estate agent. I'm now with one of the top 5 real estate agencies in Minsk. If you've seen my channel previously, if you've been following my videos, you may have seen some interviews with their chief executive officer. And that may make the life easier because now I'm officially offering and evaluating and consulting about these things. And let's actually recall what are the roles of a real estate agent and of a realtor. A real estate agent is like a tour guide and a realtor is like a hotel when you're going on holiday, or you don't get a deal unless you get the realtor's positive say-so, which is ensured by the real estate agency. And the real estate agent is your communication with the market and communication with the seller or the seller's agent, in which case it's a more civilized communication, because sellers, especially in Belarus, can't say about other countries, but could be true too, just like your next door neighbors or upstairs neighbors that have their party in the wrong moment. The sellers in Belarus are sometimes quite funny, and they might take a little fact which is just meaningless for the deal as an obstacle that will hamper the deal without even discussing with anybody. They would believe this is wrong. And the real estate agents also assess the area that you are shopping in. They match your criteria, your expectations versus the better area of, let's say, the city of Minsk. In this video we'll be discussing things and talking different terms as if you were a buyer. Normally my channel audience are buying properties in Minsk, and the locals are selling something, and so where do you come in? Where the agents and the realtors come in. Agent also, as you're looking for your purchase, is basically navigating you through the process. Generally, that's why they have pretty all-embracing training. And agents finally screen the papers and talk to the owners to see any issues that the notary will definitely see after they get the clearance from the seller to examine their personal data, to check the background of a property, and to come up with a conclusion whether or not legally there may be any consequences to having this purchase and sale deal for that property, for you, for that specific time. Real estate agents are not necessarily 24/7 at the agency guys, and the regular agency that you may be encountering for whatever transactions that you have. And by the way, I do not insist on my agency to be used, but I do recommend them for having some strong parts that others may not be offering. The agents may be doing ongoing sales, and they'll have 5 to 10 properties in their portfolio, let's say. The ongoing properties would demand all sorts of moves about them, and they will not be just babysitting you. So the benefit with me is that the foreign buyers are not lining up in Minsk, and I may be your 24/7 dedicated agent, not necessarily interested in your buying one of the agency properties, which normally people sell in the first line. It will be matching your interests, your ideas about living in Minsk, and your budget expectations. And if I may remind, I'm still in charge of my own agency. For now about 3 years we have been relocating foreigners into the Republic of Belarus, and by now it's about 50 people, mostly EU, US, Canada, and we're continuing in the same spirit. An agency background check of a trouble-free property is normally about 1 week long, and upon that period, once the job is done, could be a bit longer. If it's a house with land and everything, their agency comes up with a written verdict saying that this place is clear and good to be purchased and is unlikely to cause any legal issues about the deal. That deal and that agency ruling will be insured by maximum 110,000 euro refund possibility, which is of course pursued through court, which is no fun. But statistics says that in the agency cases, in the agency deals, there may be 1 or 2 court cases a year when a deal gets something wrong and has to go backwards. In the last months in Minsk, 1-room apartments accounted for 46% of the deals and 2-room apartments for 32% of the deals. The average per square meter price in new apartments in Minsk is $1,420, and for second-hand apartments $1,350. Generally, the prices are up by a fraction. One-room apartments, on average, scored 2%. Two rooms prices are 1% down, and funnily enough, three-room flats are 12% up in price. That's kind of interesting. My favorite districts are Первомайский, Советский, and Центральный. I'll sooner or later will come up with a video covering their merits. And these districts had a pricing per square meter breakdown like this. Of course, these figures come from the Cadastre agency, which publishes the statistics officially, and the problem is that we don't know what condition the flat was in, whether or not this was something shabby, like a babushka layer, or some five-star Stalin-era flat that was renovated with all the Italian tiles and Spanish granite and all this stuff. Speaking of per square meter prices and trends, the general question is how much is a square meter in Minsk is wrong, because that comes from a person that doesn't have any specific plan. We talk about a certain segment and we talk about trends in that segment. So if we were to talk about one-room apartments, which are the best ones, easiest to buy and easiest to sell in the city, the average level apartment in eastern Minsk, in my favorite district, Uruchi, where I lived for more than 10 years, would go for $55,000 roughly. It will be 33 meters large, okay, renovated, fit for living, but question is, will you love that block and the area where it's sitting or not? It counts as a middle-class area, a middle-class plus, let's say, environmentally sound and all, close to metro, so it's a really good seller. And my American, who recently upgraded to a three-room apartment, for $75,000, totally to be renovated, was just happy selling his first original one-room apartment for $52.4. If we move just a fraction north from Uruchia, there's Novaya Borovaya, which is technically a village outside Minsk. For short, I call it an IT district, and down the description of this video you'll find a link with the story about Novaya Borovaya, which you may pretty much like. The one-room apartments out there, about 40 square meters large, 45, would go for 65,000 plus already. And there is a newly built district called Cascade in the city center, closer to the west, down Pretitsky Street, in the same area. The cost of a one-room apartment of about the same size, 45 meters, is actually 85 plus thousand US dollars. Bank loans for the real estate are still driving the market. According to the market analysts, it's about $1,600 deals per month in the city of Minsk, and it's going to run like this until March, probably, when Russian friends will have their elections and when the artificially supported ruble, to which ours is badly tied down because it's a very big supply market for us now, will be uncomfortable, unless Uncle Joe fiddles with the US dollar so badly that it's going to drop as well, and USA will adopt Belarusian ruble for the national currency. Speaking seriously, some of the interest rates by the local banks are like this. I guess many Westerners would cry. By the way, Westerners without salary record here are not getting any bank loans. That's not in the books. So you have to rely on your money and savings as you're shopping around. But when you're buying stuff, nobody will ask you about where the money is coming from. That's the good part. Basically, among the deals that are monthly digested by the National Cadastre Agency, there are the cheapest things like those Minsk World, Minsk Mir properties, which are not on my recommended list, and we'll probably make a video about that. But so far, the audience has generously donated $1 to film about Minsk Mir, so I'm still in two minds whether or not I should shoot this district review. And the most expensive property sold last month was the so-called Chizh's house. That's an oligarch who punched it in just the most inappropriate place in the center. Down the video description you'll find the video review of that very house. I lived there for 2 nights and just discovered nothing VIP-ish about it. The guy who paid $580,000 for a 252 square meter apartment discovered something VIP-ish about that house. So you may or may not consider the thing with rusty balconies for your lodge if you have $500,000 to throw away. That would be just about that. By the way, because of the bank loans and some money still in the savings of Belarusians, market is still alive, and some people who want to wait longer have their right to do so, but the analysts, again, those analysts normally would suggest to shop now because the averagely priced property doesn't sell for longer than 2 or 3 weeks, fairly priced. And the second thing is, if something ugly is to happen to the currency in March, people will be converting the ruble and will be buying their investment properties just to make their savings solid. So the deals will be either gone and the unreasonable deals will be there for whatever time, with people not hurrying really. So now is the best time for shopping. Searching for a property requires basic Russian command because neither of the leading websites to search for a property are offering an English version, but I guess if you play with the browser, except for the phone settings and stuff like this, it's not a problem to conduct basic search on the major websites and see what your budget can buy you here. And the second problem you'll be busy with is how to get the money here, but there are technical solutions in every case, so present a case, you'll be presented a solution, it's not a problem. Office premises are still dirt cheap, with the two major waves of exodus by the IT people from Minsk in 2022. The entire blocks are kind of empty, and now the new tenants are getting pretty handsome pricing. Even my beloved Rigus in central Minsk, where we have that Russian school running, has come up with a more generous pricing versus to a couple of years ago before the war with Ukraine. So if you have some big plans investing into offices, calculate it well and set up your phone center, calling center, or whatever demands office meters here in Minsk. That could work. As people are being fined and deported by and by, it's not something massive, but occasionally foreigners tend to trust other foreigners operating here in Belarus, kind of relocating people, except they have no official capacity of whatever, neither relocating nor consulting nor translating for them. The applicants cheerfully pack their shit and go away, and my recommendation, guys, deal with someone official. Doesn't have to be me. It could be a legal agency, immigration lawyer, although it doesn't really take a lawyer to get the job done. You have to have a man knowing of the mechanics in the field, and I wouldn't say that lawyers will be charging you a fair price for that, and their knowledge will be necessarily up to date. So it's up to you which operator to choose, but go with somebody local or with a local entity. Again, my company is very much officially in relocation, closely cooperating with Foreign Ministry about visas and with the Department of Migration about the residencies. Government has come up with a curious innovation. Previously, if you addressed the seller's agency, if you found a property, it was going through an agency would politely approach you, offering their services, and that would be their best interest to charge a few % off the seller and a few basic units of the buyer from you to check the background of the property. If you were an advanced buyer watching some channels, you'd know that you can bring your own agency or even turn down the background check at all, in which case the seller's agency just earns a little bit less. But the government has come up with an innovation according to which the agency cannot charge twice both guys. I don't see how both of them were charged, because the seller was charged for marketing and selling the place. None of its background was checked if the buyer wasn't buying such a service. Now they're going to make it fair, and averagely by 25% the incomes of the real estate agencies will go down, and the state clarifications on this account will follow. So the old pricing system with the agencies is going to change soon, and maybe I'll release a little video about that with some of my official agency colleagues now. We might do a live video at some point with one of the agency guys, so if you have some questions, except not the questions for a cheap house in Minsk for $10,000, guys, none of the questions like that. If you have more sensible questions that need to be elaborated on in a video like this, rather than a private consultancy, something general, maybe something specific, but not too specific to be a technical consultancy, I'll be happy to cover it. Many thanks for your feedback. Many thanks to the Patreon guys who are supporting the channel and keep the whole show going with a beautiful picture, nice sound, an okay room for a background. I hope I'll be seeing you at one of the expat meetings, also announced down below, or just in Minsk for a casual meeting or a business meeting. Cheers.